We're now in record mode. I'm not going to bother editing this. There's not that many people about, really, is there? I expected a lot more people. Right, I'm Tony Doherty from TIR NA SAOR Radio, and this is...
Hi, I'm Micheala, and I'm camping at Jubilee Square because I feel that our politicians are just really stunting all kinds of debate that we should be having, issues that are really critically urgent in this 21st century, and one of those issues is how inner cities should cope with climate change, or steps that people can take to combat climate change a tiny little bit, and also by the same token make the world a slightly better place. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons in particular that we occupy Jubilee Square is because it's a very sanitized space. As you can see, it's all kind of grass, and it's kind of designed for people not to step on the grass even. And what concerns me is that urban planners really know, or should know, that we have to design inner cities with climate change in mind. So any space that's redeveloped should have all kinds of measures taken, and those measures begin with really simple things like all the flat roofs should be sedum roofs. And what sedums do is provide habitat for insects and thereby for birds. They also filter air pollution from traffic, fine particles out of the air. They filter rainwater, falls onto the plants filter it, and it should then be collected so that we can use harvested water for things like putting out fires, for washing cars, all the kind of things that we don't need top quality drinking water for. And what people also don't stop to realise, I reckon, is that when water comes out of the tap, or it's used for something like washing a car, it goes down the drain. It costs an awful lot of energy to reprocess it to turn it into clean drinking water again. Yeah. So using rainwater and getting plants to filter that rainwater is a very energy efficient step.
Well, if you go just out of Leicester, go a little bit north to Birstall, there's a huge wind turbine that's hooked up to the sewage plant there. So they're using their own solar power, wind power.
Right.
So, they are using, although it looks a bloody eyesore because it is big. I mean, it's about 3 times the height of Nelson's Column.
Yeah, but plants do this automatically. Yeah. You don't even need wind or solar power. The plants just do this. Other things that urban planners should do is, I already said, sedum roofs provide habitat for birds and insects. They should also design inner cities. The whole tendency in the 21st century, increasingly people will live in urbanized areas, so the countryside is increasingly depopulated, and people will continue to come into inner cities.
I won't.
Well, no, I
no thanks.
But worldwide, cities like all cities are growing. Immigrants tend to come to cities rather than the countryside as well. Let's not talk about immigrants.
Other people from different lands, that's all. They're just different people. Yeah,
well, also as agriculture maybe becomes less profitable in the UK, and increasing amounts of food and produce is shipped in, the people who become unemployed in the countryside trek to the cities to find work. In any event, that is the tendency for urbanisation.
I'd like to know who it is who keeps telling everybody we all have to have a job, and we all have to, and we all have to.
I have a job. My job is
to
looking
contribute
after
to
the
a
planet.
system that's wrong.
My job is to look after the planet. And to look after my loved ones, and I think if we all did that before we had a job that paid money and kept us...
Yeah, because all we're doing is feeding a system that's
from 9
corrupt.
to 5. In any event, spaces like this should be edible, so there should be lots of herbs in the borders, and there should be food plants hanging baskets with strawberries and that kind of thing. There's already certain towns like Todmorden in Yorkshire that's completely edible, and everybody participates in planting stuff, and people on their way to work and just go like, I need a leek for tonight's dinner, and I need a handful of...
Todmorden, that's Leeds way, isn't it?
I don't know, but it's an edible town. So, you know, you grow stuff
An
and you
edible
get to pick
town
it.
is just people walking up taking bits off the buildings.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of legislation, there's something that's really damaging going on here. Because everything that people actually know that they should do, which is reduce hardened surfaces to let the increased rainfall absorb and have more area so that the rivers and the canals don't flood.
Well, we could do
People
with dredging
know
them.
this. Sorry?
We could do with dredging the rivers and
No, you don't need to. If you just have sufficient green spaces in your towns and gardens, that will absorb the rainwater.
we seem to be concreting on most of where I live.
Exactly. So the question is really, what on earth are these urban planners thinking of? You know,
Money.
Why do they do this?
Money. No other reason.
Concreting isn't. How is concreting better money than planting?
It makes money for them.
What, for the concreting companies?
Well, the councils, everything else, they don't do anything unless they're going to get something for it.
Yeah. Well, this is another reason for taking Jubilee Square, is to actually kind of get people, to start saying to the politicians, like, get off your backsides and start acting in our interest rather than in the interest of money.
Have we had any politicians come up here yet? Or anybody?
We've had a couple
from
of members
officialdom?
of the Green Party, but nobody actually in power. You know, we'd love to get Soulsby here and actually discuss with him, what our issues are as opposed to what they represent.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, May the 2nd, this space will be turned with a little help from my friends. This space will actually be turned into like an example of edible in a city. And just trying to get people to realise that, every single plant improves air quality, improves water, rainwater, dissipation, draining, and improves the quality of their life. And also, in terms of so many people being really in dire poverty these days, and that trend is increasing too. Grow your own food and you'll be amazed at what a difference it makes to your budget.
Yeah. You don't have to have a big garden, like you were saying. You can do it from...
And not just grow your own food, but grow it as a community, because it brings communities together. There's all kinds of evidence, like kids with ADHD or just hyperactive kids, whatever you choose to call it. If they dig their hands in soil, that calms them down, and it's literally that grounding and earthing is so good for your soul. For the soil.
For
Both. So, people need to start banding together and just resolving their own problems, and they've all got the means to contribute something towards a better world.
Yeah.
But it begins with awareness, it begins with actually understanding, the issues that the planet faces and that we as humanity inhabiting this planet face. And it's about time we stop to realise it's the planet that sustains us, not the economy, it's the environment that sustains us.
Yes. In a strange way.
End of rant.
Well, for a long time, I've been looking into things like, the massive movement of people from Africa.
Right.
And they're all being told, head to a town, head to a city, because you'll be looked after. And when they get there, that's not what they're finding. They're actually finding they're just being slaves. And a lot of them want to go back, but they've got nothing to go back to because the land and where they lived has been totally devastated.
There is a worldwide massive land grab and water grab going on. The United States, Japan, China, everybody's is taking land in Africa because we're heading headlong for a massive food crisis. And again, in cities, you think you could just go to the supermarkets and it's the horn of plenty, but that is actually running out. I mean, European countries, Western countries are looking at ways of turning insects into food, and they're not doing that, for the hell of a scientific experiment. They're doing that because our food is running out. People wake up, our food is running out. It's not so much it's running out, is we are wasting too much of it. No, it's running out.
Well, we're not growing enough.
Or naturally grown food is running out.
Right, I'm going to stop this one while we...
Wake up.
Yeah. Wake up. So we're up here at Jubilee Gardens up in Leicester. Oh, put the camera that way. I might as well turn that around so I can see my bloody self. And I'm going to stay up here for a few hours more. well, probably most of the afternoon because it's quite a nice afternoon. And we'll see who else turns up. All right.
So you've had Sikhs come by?